When we are adding or subtracting fractions, we need to compare apples to apples, so we need a common denominator. That's the bottom number, or else we can't add them together. So to get a common denominator, we want to find equivalent fractions. So 1/3 is equal to a certain number of twelfths. So if we want to get a denominator of 12, what we would need to do is multiply 3 times something to get to 12. Now I know that that number is 4, because if I divided 12 by 3, I would get 4. Not so hard to do with something as small as 12, but if you needed to, you could use your calculator and find out exactly how we get from one to the next. And now that I know that 3 times 4 is 12, I'm going to multiply the top number, because if I multiply the top number by 4, the same as the bottom number, then I'll get an equivalent fraction. So 1/3 is equal to 4/12. So I can now add 4/12 to another number that has a denominator of 12. For example, I can't add 4/12 and 5/6 and get the right answer. I need to find out how many twelfths are in 5/6. So again, I'm told I need a denominator of 12. And how do I get to 12 from 6? Well, 2 6s make 12, and 2 5s make 10. So if I wanted to now, I could add 4/12 and 10/12, because they are twelfths. They're the same size piece of the pie. So for this one, it's a little bit different. We want a denominator of 12, and we're starting with a larger denominator. So you could take your calculator and work out, I'll write it in another way. 36 is the dividend divided by the divisor of 12, and that will give you the number 3. Therefore, 36 divided by 3 will give us 12. Same thing. To get an equivalent fraction, I do the same operation on the top. 24 divided by 3 gives us 8 over 12. So that is a denominator of 12. That's what we were asked for. Sometimes, though, you're asked to rewrite fractions in simplest form. And that means, see, 8 over 12 is not simplest form, nor is 24 over 36. So if we wanted to, we could reduce that down by common factors. And if I wanted to, I could reduce it even further until there are no more common factors. So for example, I want to find another equivalent fraction, but I want this in simplest form. 5 and 20 both have common factors. So I can look at it and I can directly see that 5 and 20 are both divisible by 5. So if I divide 5 by 5, I get 1. And if I divide 20 by 5, I get 4. Sure enough, 1/4, or 1 over 4, is an equivalent fraction to 5 over 12, and is indeed the simplest form of that fraction. Now this one, if you've got a keen eye for mathematics, you can see that if I divide this straight away by 6, and that one by 6, you can use your calculator to experiment a little bit to see if it's going to work first, then I can see 18 divided by 6 gives me 3, and 30 divided by 6 gives me 5. That's the simplest form. There are no more common factors between these two that we can cancel them out. But say you were just playing around a little bit. Say, okay, I know that both of these are divisible by 3. Let's do that. So remember, whatever you do to 1 to the top, you do to the bottom. And if I divide both of these by 3, I get 6 over 10. Well, that is an equivalent fraction, but it's not a fraction in its simplest form. So again, both of these are divisible. They're not divisible by 3, but they are divisible by 2. So whatever I do to the top, I do to the bottom in order to get equivalent fractions. And I get the same result. So originally I divided by 6, and sure enough, the factors 3 times 2 will give me 6, but it's no problem for you to go through this way and get to your simplest form like that. Why is this in simplest form? Because there's no other way I can cancel this and keep a whole number on the top and a whole number on the bottom. So that is how you find a common denominator and how you reduce a fraction to its simplest form. And next we will look at adding and subtracting fractions using the knowledge that we now have.